Yes. Farhan, what is catharsis? Hello. Okay, no problem. Asma, you are using someone else's phone. Okay, so you may use his or her mic too.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about the Asma. She was saying. Okay, anyway, I asked you the question about the catharsis, and you know that what is
The process of releasing from the any emotion, strong emotion,
okay,
or
good. That
tension.
is yes, the releasing of filtering the emotion is called catharsis. Anybody else? And Samia again, she is mute. Okay, purifying the emotions means filtering the emotions that is brought about the audience of tragic drama through the evocation of intense fear and pity. It means that during and after watching play, audience has to feel catharsis. The audience has to successfully felt pity and fear. As the play moves along, the event should build up the emotions of pity and fear. The catharsis is a purging, mean cleansing of emotions, as Musawwir said, a release of tension in a tragedy. This is often a moment of revelation when the tragic hero falls flat on his face and the audience can finally explode. This is mean catharsis. Okay, so then next there are six elements, I think, in chapter number 6 of the Poetics book by Aristotle. Number one is plot, number two is character, thought, diction, melody, and spectacle. Let's discuss individually. What is plot? What is plot, by the way? Plot is the soul of tragedy. It is the most important of six elements. The plot must be complete, having unity of action. Yes, unity of action means the three unities we are going to discuss in the next slide. The plot is the underlying principle of tragedy. Without plot, definitely there would be no tragedy. By plot, Aristotle means the arrangement of incidents. Incident mean action, and tragedy is an imitation of an action, both internal and external. That is to say that it also imitates the mental process of the dramatic persona. In answering a question, once he said that tragedy could be written without a character, but not without a plot. So in the last lines, you would see without character, there could be a tragedy. Means without character, there could be a tragedy, but not without plot. So it means the plot is very important in the eyes of Aristotle. But anyhow, it was said in ancient time. Today is quite different. We have seen uh, nowadays they say that the characters are important. जैसे हम सुनते हैं डायरेक्टर वगैरह को, वो कहते हैं नहीं जी कैरेक्टर्स ऐसी चीज है कि जो क्या करते हैं प्लॉट में जान डाल देते हैं. तो दिस इज व्हाट कैरेक्टर्स आर इम्पोर्टेंट और कैरेक्टर इज इम्पोर्टेंट एज कंपेयर टू प्लॉट. But anyhow, this is a huge discussion that plot is important or the character is important. But in the light of Aristotle, Plot is important. Let's talk about three unities. What are these? Yeah, according to Aristotle, we are not sure really Aristotle has said the three unities. Let's see. Unity of action. A play should have one action that it follows with minimal subplots. Okay, there in the plot there are subplots too. Means in the plot there would be other stories too, but these stories would be small stories. We have seen in the movies, in the drama as well, such as if you have studied Adam Bede. If you study this basically novel, you would find there are other characters, they are telling their stories that has no connection with even with plot, but they are telling. So these type of stories are called subplots. Unity of time. The action in a play should occur over a period of no more than 24 hours. And the unity of place, a play should exist in a single physical space and should not attempt to compress geographically. Nor should the stage represent more than one place. It means one action is being done, okay, in the Karachi, the second should not be done in Lahore. तो जो कैरेक्टर जो एक्शन है वो वहीं क्या है होना चाहिए भाई लकीरें मार के चेक नहीं करो. Okay, then what is subplot? Some writers actually call subplots the A and B story. Once you start reading novel, you would find there is A story means the main story, B story that the B story means those stories which are basically helping the readers to understand the A story, because they have these B stories have some link directly or indirectly with A story means main theme. But either way, a subplot is an extension of the main theme. Yeah, the same thing. In other words, subplots are always somehow connected to the main plot. These secondary storylines must enrich or bring life to the main plot, and they will always help the protagonist in his or her journey towards resolution. This is called subplot. For example, let's talk about, okay, before basically you are going to give, I'm going to give the example. I want you to give example if you have understood. Yes, Mr. Farhan.
Sir, as hello,
Yes.
sir, as in the way of the word,
Yeah.
there were different stories of different people.
Yeah. These are called subplots. Can you basically
Yes,
tell me any of the story that I can say yes, this is subplot, and which is the character if you can recall? What happened? Are you recalling?
yes, sir. I think Milament was the character in that protagonist. They were the two protagonists,
Okay.
but there were the other characters also
Hmm.
whose story was going on.
Yeah. Because their story was helping to the main theme. And what was the main theme? Aristocratic class.
Yes,
Okay. The marriage system on that time. Because we see the other character are also busy to betraying or cheating. So these type of basically the stories are called subplots. Okay. In a Hamlet, can you tell me what is main plot and what is subplot?
Sir, the main plot is Hamlet's revenge.
me.
Yes.
Sir, the Ophelia's story is the subplot.
Okay. Any other? Okay, let's see. In Hamlet, the central theme is developed around Hamlet's crazed revenge. It is basically the main theme of his father's death. And his actions are a result of his need for revenge. There are two subplots in Hamlet. Number one, the war with Norway. It has no connection, by the way, directly with, with the revenge. Ophelia's relationship to Hamlet. Shakespeare reveals Hamlet's want in the first act, but complications occurs in Act 2 when Hamlet shows up in Ophelia's chamber in complete confusion after Ophelia has just learned that he is losing his love interest in her. Ophelia is not overly surprised because she is aware of his confused mental state. The plot thickens when Ophelia shares about Hamlet's sudden visit with Polonius. So you would see basically what the main theme was the revenge, and rest of other basically the themes were helping the main theme. तो वो जितनी भी थी, वो जितनी भी प्लानिंग जो कर रहा था हैमलेट, वो बेसिकली रेवेंज लेने के लिए ही कर रहा था. So this is what the revenge is, basically the main plot, and rest of others are called the subplot. For example, the main characters often flashes back to his or her childhood and the abuse he or she suffered. Although those are flashback sequences, they are also a subplot in that they show how the protagonist came to be when he or she is today and explain many of her actions or his actions, helping the story in journal. Okay, flashback. What does it mean of flashback?
Past events.
Yes, very good. To go in nostalgic moment.
To recall the story which happened in past.
Okay, very good. Yes. Can you give an example?
For example, one of our teacher gave, I think, I remember you have given the example of the movie Gajni. He recalled the story.
Okay, very good.
There was a girl, she recalled the story by reading the diary of the protagonist.
Okay, diary is basically the symbol of flashing back, means going in the nostalgic moment. uh, I don't know that you have studied a play. There is an American play, A Long Day Journey into Night. Have you studied?
No, sir.
Okay, over there you would find the same situation. You might have observed many of the people in our society, they love to live in their past instead living in present. One of the reasons their present is not as good as past. So this is what, intentionally or unintentionally, they love to live over there. But sometimes even with us, we see that, for example, once we listen to any kind of song, so we go in the past. There is a ghazal, for example. एक गजल है वो, जिसे मिसाल पर हम उसको सुनते हैं, वो कश्ती पानी क्या क्या है वो, आई एम नॉट रिकॉलिंग इट्स प्रॉपर्ली. वो बारिश का पानी, वो क्या है वो, कश्ती, बारिश की कश्ती, आई डोंट नो, सॉरी इफ यू एनी ऑफ यू कैन रिकॉल इट. तो हैविंग बेसिकली लिसन दैट सॉन्ग, वो सुनने के बाद एवरीबडी गोज इन हिज और हर चाइल्डहुड. ऐसा ही है ना. For example, one of your chum friend, means bosom friend, he came to see you a day, and you people sit together, and then what happens? What kind of the incidents you discuss? So definitely most of the time it has been observed that they start discussing their past. So this basically is, meeting symbolize the flashback, means going back in their memory. This is also the part of it. Simple and complex plot, there are two types of. One is the simple and second is the complex. What does it mean of simple?
Sir, there is no complexity or any kind of thing like by reading the person goes into problems and start thinking. So it is simple.
Okay, very good. Okay, if there is a simple plot, then what happens? Will you enjoy? Even we, I think we cannot enjoy the movies in case it has simple plot, because we can easily understand that what would be the end of this novel or this movie. Why? Because of its simplicity. It is simplicity means simple plot. Okay, complex means complexity. Aristotle says that simple plots have only a change of fortune, but the complex plots have both reversal of intention and recognition. Suspense is important in good tragedy. Yes, these can be found in complex plot. Okay, let's discuss then. Without action, there can be tragedy. There may be without character. Who says? Aristotle.
That is totally.
Yeah. Then he talks about group of soliloquies that though it looks entertaining, it may not create tragedy. Wow. This is basically debatable, if you can. Let's talk about the soliloquies. What are basically soliloquies?
The self conversation and loneliness.
Hmm. Okay. But don't you think that you would find a contrast idea between Aristotle and William Wordsworth? In the William Wordsworth, most of his plays we find soliloquies,
Yes.
and these soliloquies are the cause of the tragedies. And these soliloquies, on the behalf of soliloquies, we basically assume that there is indecisiveness, there is ambivalence. The character is basically is unable to take any good decision, or any decision even not good, because of soliloquies. Do you think it is so, or we are supposed to take the opinion of Aristotle then? He says it looks entertaining but not serious in the eyes of Aristotle, but we have found the soliloquies and its role in Hamlet. How do you basically interpret it?
Sir, like
Yes,
in Dr. Faustus.
sorry.
Sir, in Dr. Faustus, his damnation was due to his indecisiveness.
Okay. No, my question is that so simple. Let me make it a bit more simple. Here you would see Aristotle says group of soliloquies that though it looks entertaining, means they are the part of entertainment. They should be the part of comedy, not tragedy. Do you agree with the statement is given by Aristotle?
Yes, sir. In fact, the character is indecisive and he cannot decide what to do.
Okay.
That's why he this will not create the tragedy.
Okay, but in a William Wordsworth play we find, and there is a tragedy. Okay, let me tell you one more thing. It would be so clear. Aristotle says tragedy. There, when a novel, sorry, a play should be. If, for example, there is a tragedy, there must be tragedy in the play. There shouldn't be any elements of comedy in the eyes of Aristotle. As far as William Shakespeare is concerned, he doesn't follow it. In the William Wordsworth, William Shakespeare's, we find that tragedy and comedy are mixed. For example, if we take this statement, a group of soliloquies that though it looks entertaining, yes, it is entertaining when Hamlet is indecisive. We become basically, it gives us some fun. The person who is basically having he's so learned, having more skills as compared to other people, and still he is indecisive. So that is the comedy, we can say. But tragedy, later on we see it becomes the part of tragedy because it's leading toward the tragedy, and that is the revenge. So Aristotle basically says that in the play there should be one, basically, if there is a tragedy, there must be tragedy. There must not be comedy into that tragedy. If there would be comedy in that tragedy, that comedy definitely will mar the seriousness. If there is no seriousness and there would be no tragedy, then according to Aristotle. But William Shakespeare, definitely we see that he has changed his thought. Anyhow, let's come to the second one. Do you want to participate anything? Okay, according to him, man doomed before his birth is no destiny. So according to him, without good plot means without action. Some modern critics think that characters are more important than the actions. For example, let's see here. Modern critics to create character, and ancient critics to create plot. So this is the basically difference we find in this era. Okay, then another basically is the theory is given by Aristotle, that is probability and necessity. He also gives the idea of the probability and necessity which govern a good plot. To define a law of probability given by himself, Atkins says, moreover, what is thus depicted is not what actually happened in the history, but what would logically and inevitably happen. In other words, things which are permanently and universally. Okay, I will give you some material regarding probability and necessity. This is a law. ये क्या उसूल बन गया है. Okay, so let's come to the characters. The second important element of tragedy is the characters. Goodness is very important according to him. He says even a woman may be good and also a slave, though the woman may be said to be an inferior being and the slave quite worthless. So what is basically the main thing we can find in the character, that is goodness. The very important quality of the character is that he should be true to life, yet it should be more beautiful. Means the protagonist, they should be true to life. Tragic hero, in comedy many characters are important, but in tragedy one hero is important. Why? Because in the comedy, if we keep on listening, one character is basically making some fun, after that we will not enjoy his comedy. Why? हम उसको थक जाएंगे उसका मुंह देखकर, और एक ही किस्म का, मतलब एक ही बंदा जो है वो कॉमेडी कर रहा है. बट इन ट्रेजेडी इज डिफरेंट. अगर सबके साथ ट्रेजेडी हो गई तो हमारी जो अटेंशन है डाइवर्ट हो जाएगी. तो ट्रेजेडी विल हैपन विद द मेन कैरेक्टर ओनली. Aristotle has given 4 types of hero and the characteristics. And what are these? Let's discuss. The second important element of the tragedy is the character. Okay, sorry. These are the 4 characters. A good man coming to bad end. Okay, in the beginning, the man was good, and then bad end because of the circumstances. A bad man coming to good end. In the beginning, we have observed that the hero was bad, but later on, with the passage of time, because of the circumstances, he becomes good. A good man coming to bad end, a rather good man coming to bad end. These basically the 4 characteristics he has attributed to the hero. And more importantly, that what should a protagonist be judged? He said the idea about error of judgment, one who just one weakness in the hero's characters make his downfall. That character's misfortunes affects the entire people staying around about him. So can you please tell me that what does it mean of error of judgment?
So like in Dr. Foster's, he was not distinguishing between good and bad, the evil and uh, the fake world and the eternity which he will get. So he got into a contact with Mephistopheles. So
Okay.
it was the error in judgment. He became blind.
Okay, good. Okay, what kind of the error of judgment should be? अगर मिसाल के तौर पर ऐसा एरर ऑफ जजमेंट है कि ऑडियंस को समझ ही ना आए, देन कैसा होना चाहिए एरर ऑफ जजमेंट? दैट इज माय क्वेश्चन. Means one weakness in the hero's characters, and what kind of that weakness should be?
So indecisiveness in Hamlet's character. In Hamlet's story, we have
यस, वेरी गुड. अच्छा, उसमें जो वीकनेस होगी वो ऐसी होगी जो एक आम आदमी के अंदर होती है. अगर वो वीकनेस होगी तो उससे ही क्या कैथारसिस जन्म लेगी. For example, if there is no some weakness that I am unable to identify it, so I cannot basically understand. The character is unable to gain my sympathy because I don't understand that what was his weakness. क्यों उसकी वजह से ऐसा हुआ? So this is what basically indecisiveness is, the weakness we find in Hamlet, and this indecisive definitely is the part of every human being almost. हम अपनी जिंदगी के अंदर ऐसा ही होता ना, जो हम फैसला नहीं कर पाते. We are unable to take any decision because we become in shilly shally, indecisive, that to be or not to be. Okay, then
Sir, such type of the
जी जी.
if the person is indecisive, definitely he will move towards the tragedy because he doesn't know what to do.
Yes, it happens with Hamlet because he could not take decision, though he could have done. For example, the number one.
Similarly,
Yes.
in case of Dr. Faustus,
Uh,
his error of judgment caused his damnation.
yes, very good. Error of a judgment. Yes, he is unable to judge the person, especially Mephistopheles. Anyhow, similarly in Hamlet, again, I would like to give the example. Claudius was basically portraying and he was worshipping his god, and we have seen clearly observed that Hamlet was standing over there. He was seeing him, gazing him, and he was full of sorrow, and he wanted to kill. But meanwhile, there is another, basically the thought. Good thought came. And what is that? That if you are going to kill Claudius in the state of worship, so he will be placed in heaven. If a bad person, for example, he has done something bad in the world, should he be given place in heaven? So this is the thing that he becomes indecisive, that no, delay it. Why? Because he doesn't want to kill him in the state of worship. He doesn't want this cruel person to go in heaven. I think that was the main cause, because two different things are conflicting with each other. जब दो डिफरेंट आइडियाज आकर जो है दिमाग में खलबली मचाएं तो बंदा इंडिसाइसिव बन जाता है. ऐसा ही है ना? Doesn't it happen in your actual life too? Okay, we are going to have a break anymore because 14 minutes have done. ठीक है, अब जो है हम थोड़ा सा शॉर्ट कर देंगे. I'm going to come after 5 minutes and then नमाज का टाइम हो जाएगा 15 मिनट बाद. Okay, see you after break.